Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer, and I'm here today because I want to talk about Jupiter's entry into Taurus, which starts on May 17th, 2023, and will go until May 25th, 2024. That is on Pacific time, so if you're somewhere else in the world, please adjust the day. I think this is a very significant energy, not only because Jupiter by nature expands things, brings a sense of wealth and good luck and bounty, and shines a faithful and hopeful light on a situation, but it also feels as if as it enters the house of our family history and our self-worth, as it enters the house of our personal skills and our talents and our gifts and our voice, it feels very much as if there's the possibility for an expansion of our individual creativity. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus rules our money. She rules our sense of beauty, our sense of comfort and luxury, our sense of, in many ways, home. She rules the comfort of the home. She rules a sense of, she rules our food. She rules our partnerships. She rules a feminine energy that is receptive. And in that receptivity, she is creating her version of what makes her feel valued, accepted, loved. And in doing so, there's an exchange of energy. So I say that because as we move into this Taurus energy, those dynamics will be very much rooted into our everyday experience. And if they are not already, then the conscious awareness that we want them rooted in our everyday experience will become extremely important to us. Jupiter starts its entry into Taurus with a conjunction to the North Node. The North Node is currently at 3 degrees Taurus, and we know that makes an automatic opposition to the Scorpio energy. We've seen a lot of energy eclipses on the Taurus and Scorpio axis. And I believe that Jupiter, in its conjunction to the North Node, as it enters Taurus, will make us more determined and tenacious and ravenous to rebuild our lives from how we perceive we want them to be. I believe that this has everything to do not only with Venusian things, but also how we feel in our body. Taurus rules food, and Jupiter will expand our knowledge of how food is affecting our everyday lives. How we eat affects our mood, and how our mood affects our emotional body, and how our emotional body is how it affects the way we think and how we make our decisions. Jupiter is starting this transit 2 days before the first new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees, where the moon cycle has flipped. So in the Aries season, we saw 2 new moons in Aries, which changed the cycle from new moon, full moon to full moon, new moon every month for the next year. And this is going to go on until July, I believe, 2024, where we will have 2 full moons in Capricorn, which I find very interesting. This dynamic to me, the 28th degree new moon, it triggers something in my mind that goes back to the 7 full moons that we had from October 2022 through April 2023, where each full moon was at the 16th degree of Cancer. Now, we've had an eclipse on our full moon at the beginning of May, and now the first new moon in this cycle is at the 28th degree, which is also a Cancer degree. Now, from my point of view, from my intuitive energy and from my meditations and my conversations with Source Energy, this feels like an opportunity to master the Cancerian energy of self-care, of how we feel about what makes us feel at home. Cancer rules our home environment, the mother energy. It rules our intuitive body. It rules our emotional body. And I believe that all of the things that happen in the fourth house are where we garnish our self-worth in the house of Taurus, hence ruling our family history and history in general. So I think that this is very powerful because we have that new moon on Friday, the 19th. So 2 days after Jupiter moves into the early degree of Taurus, we will have the new moon at the late degree of Taurus, bringing sort of this opportunity to feel new faith, new hope, to feel a sense of excitement about integrating what you have garnished through those 7 full moons. What epiphanies have you had? What energies have you become aware of that either block or open a pathway for your story to move forward? I think that this new moon is going to be very powerful in its opportunity to have those seeds planted grow. We have, as Jupiter enters Taurus, it's going to make a very challenging dynamic to Pluto in Aquarius. It will make a square. And I've done a video on Venus and Mars and the opposition it will make to Pluto. And all of these things come into play because, meaning that T-square, that grand fixed cross, grand T-square, it's not a T-square, it's a grand square T-cross. That's the way I want to put it. I always get these terms mixed up because my mind always sees the T. So where I'm trying to go with this is, what I'm saying is that Pluto and the square to the North Node and Jupiter are making this tense conversation about digging deep into our personal psychologies and looking at who and what we've given our power up to, over to, where we have given up the control of our own lives, where we have been overly dominant, overly controlling, and that dynamic was based on fear. So this entry of Jupiter into Taurus starts off with a little bit of I believe, a disruption. And at the same time, that disruption is divinely guided to create a bridge to your dreams. Because up until now, Pluto is inferring and insisting upon each human looking at where they have allowed their dreams to die, where they have allowed the things they want to wither on the vine. So here we are in the Taurus season, giving new life to the idea of being the farmer that is willing to plant the seeds, that understands that it's through consistent nurturing and care, the new moon in Taurus at 28 degrees, that our dreams will grow, that the opportunities to live the new philosophies, to live the new version of ourselves. Overall, Jupiter rules diversity. It rules business. It rules the Supreme Court. It rules higher realms of a religious dynamic. And I say dynamic because I hate to just use the church these days. I think we're broadening even that. So here I feel like it's a real opportunity, while it may feel a little bit stressful in the beginning because we have Mars approaching the opposition with Pluto. And again, I want to refer to my Pluto and Venus and Mars video, the grand fixed square video, because I go into more detail there. Because here I believe that the North Node, as it's just about to go into Aries and wanting to birth the self even more succinctly than it has been, is joining this new moon in sort of this, I want to say it feels like a covert operation. A new moon is the darkest phase of the moon, and the square to Pluto is saying, hey, what's been hiding in the dark? Where have you been building your house on a platform that was more hopeful and staving off your fears of poverty, your fears of lack, your fears that involve scarcity, your fears that potentially you're not good enough. And now Jupiter and the North Node are saying, I don't think that's true anymore. And I want to try. I want to try to assert myself into my dreams and give myself an opportunity to truly see, is it viable? Am I brave enough in this moment to claim myself? Because Mars is making this opposition to Pluto in the sign of Leo, of my own creation, of how I view my personal pleasure, how I view fun and enjoyment. And I believe that part of the revolution going on is to apply our own talents and skills in ways that feel fun, so that we can enjoy how we make our bounty versus chasing paying our bills and focused on potential lack in the future. So here's Jupiter and the North Node literally, I think, vibrating at almost an impatient energy, almost like a starving person, ravenous for a meal. And Pluto is saying, what kind of meal will you eat? Will you just let your poverty and your scarcity stuff your face with things that don't fuel your future? Or are you willing to be a little bit more discerning in where you're going, so that when you feed yourself, you're fueling your future as well as your present? I think this is super powerful. Now, the new moon in Jupiter, it's all affecting the same house for you. So whether you're focused on Jupiter's entry into Taurus, or you're looking at the new moon with its Cancerian energy of how do I want to move my story forward that nurtures me, that honors my emotional body, that allows for the expansion of my intuitive knowing, the inner voice. All of that is going to be focused in on a specific house depending upon your rising sign. So if you're Aries, it's going to be your second house of skills, the natural house for Taurus. If it is Taurus, it's going to be in your first house, all about you birthing a version of yourself that matches the voice that you speak, the life you want to live. If it's Gemini, there's going to be an expansion of how you're building your house, and you're going to get a real wake-up call about what's been sitting behind you, or what you don't see, or where you have ancestral energies that could potentially be putting you in a place of not feeling good enough. The 12th house is one where we don't see ourselves. It's a house where we feel a sense of isolation and aloneness. It's also where we revitalize our connection to spirit. And this awareness of where do you want to go, who do you want to be, and an intention towards it is going to anchor it in versus making you feel out of control. In Cancer, it's going to be in your 11th house. That's the house of expansion by nature, because it rules humanity. It rules the collective consciousness. It also rules your hopes and your dreams. So as you become brave, and as you allow the opposition that Pluto has been having to your natural first house, you will allow yourself the evolved version of yourself with a little bit more confidence. That's how I feel. Leo, this is in your 10th house of career. So this next year could be so powerful for you in rewriting how you make your money. It can also bring in a partner. Jupiter rules the husband in ancient times. So what we can see up in the 10th house is a change of public status. And that's not just our career. It's also when we go from single to married, from married to divorce, from single childless to being a parent. It's a house where a status changes in some ways. It can also see you being very brave about fostering your creativity, because we're going to see Mars enter your first house. We're going to see Venus spend 4 months in your first house over the summer of 2023. Where am I? And we have, I didn't mention this earlier, Jupiter will retrograde at the exact same degrees in Taurus that Mercury just retrograded. So when Jupiter hits 15 degrees of Taurus, it's going to start a retrograde in September and then move all the way back to the 5th degree before it moves forward again. I think this is incredibly powerful because this has something to do with expanding the smallness of my mind and expanding my opportunities in my everyday life. I feel like there's like some sort of elevated energy that's coming with this Jupiter retrograde. And when I say elevated, it's almost like going from almost this unconscious everyday, here's my life thoughts, I'm being absorbed by my outside influences, to Jupiter having more of a discerning eye because it's seeing a broader perspective of what can be. They naturally rule the Gemini Sagittarius axis. Mercury rules Gemini. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So here we're going to see an opportunity for more diversity, where in the fixed energy of Taurus, there is an awareness that it's not about flexibility. It's really more about being willing to see if the familiar is serving the future, or if the familiar is anchoring you into an energy that is putting you in a loop that is no longer comfortable and fun. Virgo, this is going to be in your 9th house. Taurus is your 9th house. So I believe that there is a real opportunity for you to the 9th house by nature is it's a Dharma house. It's a house that offers reward, but it has to be claimed. So as Jupiter enters this 9th house, and this new moon offers you an opportunity to plant the seeds for your own self-care, and for all the wisdom and information you garnished through the illumination of the 7 full moons at the Cancerian degree. This really feels as if it plays to your 9th house energies of rewriting your beliefs, of going into foreign territories of self-care, where, wow, when I take care of myself, I actually have more energy to get the things I want to get done. I think this is really powerful. For my Libras, this is going to be your 8th house. And by nature, the Taurus energy is the 2nd house, and the Scorpio energy is the 8th house. So here we see you experiencing the 8th house with that Taurus energy is offering you transformation in a Venusian way. How are you using your voice? Have you been giving up your voice? Have you been overly dependent on others in your life to help you with your material security? Or are you now willing to venture into new territory and stretch yourself and your skills, meaning to start to apply them? I really feel like the TikTok is a great platform to understand that people are resonating more and more with the everyday person, sharing their lives and their triumphs and their struggles, and having this community that can potentially be very supportive. We're always kind of walking through a landmine field when we get onto such a huge platform with the world and its opinion being offered. But at the same time, I feel as if Libra, that Venusian energy, the idea that Jupiter's moving into the house that you're co-ruled by, that it's offering you an opportunity to really plant in fertile soil, because the 8th house has already kind of turned up the soil, unearthed some things, and now it gives you an opportunity to sit in an energy of much more trust in your skills, thereby making you feel more influential over your own life and more powerful within it. We have our Scorpios. This is going to happen in your 7th house. The 1st house of Scorpio is one that to me is always speaking of a life path where I'm really digging deep into how I what I believe about myself. There's so much that is hidden in underneath a layer of toxicity. You know, we very often equate Scorpio, Pluto, and Mars with very challenging energies, violent energies, criminal behavior. And yet at the same time, when we look into the human and we go into the backstory of the people that perpetrate these type of things, we find a lot of challenging dynamics going on, meaning, you know, not finding a lot of love. There's very, very few people that are actually just organically evil. Most people are somehow damaged in some way. So here in the Scorpio energy in your 7th house of partnerships, I feel like this is an opportunity for you to see how you roll in partnerships. And being on the eclipse axis for such a long time and having this most recent eclipse be dominated by you, 14 degrees Scorpio, it's really giving you an opportunity to liberate yourself from an old story. And maybe even this works out in a way where you're finding partnerships are ending, and at the same time you're planting new seeds with such an awareness that the energies that might have tripped you up in your partnerships up until now is not as dominant as it has been, because your awareness gives you a new focus. And Scorpio is great at focus. Scorpio is great at putting an energy on something and working it until it happens. So I think this is super important. For my Sagittarius, Taurus is your 6th house, which could bring in so much bounty within your work sector. You may find yourself really endeavoring things that are much more of your heart, much more aligned to your joy and your pleasure. And you may find yourself even starting to look at alternative ways of healing your body, using more plants and herbs. The 6th house rules our health as well as our employment, and it also rules our pets. So you may find yourself really, because being Taurus and having the new moon, you may find yourself wanting to get a new food service that's giving you organic foods, or you may find yourself wanting to get chickens and putting them in your backyard so you can eat farm fresh eggs where you know where they came from. I feel like Sagittarius, for some reason, this feels like as if between your ruling planet Jupiter going into Taurus, it feels as if there is such an opportunity for excitement and for a newness and a sense of really driving the bus of your own life. And all of this starts with tension. I believe wholeheartedly that this week and 2023 is riddled with tough questions that create those forks in the road. I think of an astrological square as a point in time where I have habitual reactionary behaviors, and then I have this conception of who I can be, but it hasn't been rooted. And so to me, this is for Sagittarius going to be very powerful as you start to take the bull by the horns, no pun intended, with your own health and with your ability to make money through how you work. You may end up launching your own entrepreneurial dynamic, or you may find yourself going back and educating yourself in ways that make you an expert or a master at a certain craft, and that opens up a whole new world for you. Capricorn, this is going to be in your 5th house of romance, of entertainment, of pleasure, of the conception of children. And if for some reason you've had trouble conceiving children, Pluto has been going through your 1st house. You may, if that's what you want, you may find yourself and the new, the baby goats that have been birthed during this Pluto transits, as you take this powerful energy of the builder and you apply it to your 5th house, and you see the viability of your own endeavors, of your willingness to put yourself out there, and then you use the tenacity that the goat offers us. But this time the goat is happy because the goat is in a trine aspect to this house. And I almost feel like I see the goat, kind of jumping through the rows of things that were planted. And rather than thinking you're squashing your seedlings, it feels more like you're dancing over them as they start to pop up through the earth and show viability. It's very, I really feel as if the Capricorn energy is coming into some sort of integration. Capricorn rules history, Taurus rules history. And now I think we're learning from our history. And learning is actually not the word I want to use. Our history is giving us an awareness. And that awareness is presenting that square between Pluto and Jupiter and the North Node during this new moon. Will I go the old way that's familiar, even though it's not necessarily pleasant anymore, or will I be more adventurous? And I believe the goats on my channel are more than willing to embrace their baby goat and to dance their way through this dynamic, even though it could be a little tension. Now we have Aquarius, your fourth house. Jupiter is coming into your fourth house of home. Very much could shift a lot of things. You could find yourself moving to a new country, to a new location, or having a whole new set of ideas about your home life. And much of it could be a little bit where, rather than having your family history tether you to a definition of who and what you are, you might see yourself expanding upon that. And at the same time, having this sort of awareness that if your genius is to be truly expressed, it may be that you have to be a little bit of a rogue individual within your family dynamic. And that could very well be the service that you offer your family, is that your expanded view of things, your expanded view of your life and how you run it and how you roll with it. And I say that because it feels almost like my Aquariuses are aware of the divine laws of the universe, of ebb and flow, of the laws of attraction and allowing. And there's 12 of them. And I always kind of refer to gravity because every human will agree that gravity is a divine law, because we can see the object go up in the air and then come down. Well, these other laws are just as solid and just as viable. And now we're going to start to apply them. So here comes Aquarius coming into this fourth house of home, where things can be a little fixed. And even though you're fixed as well, fixed in your futuristic way of being, your inventiveness, your innovation, here I think you're offering an opportunity for the family dynamic to witness this through you, and in doing so, expanding the whole family. So again, starts with a 10 square, starts with a dynamic that we don't often see, with Jupiter and the North Node joining each other in Taurus. I tried to actually figure out when the last time this happened, and I got caught so many times trying to, Jupiter goes 12 years around the Zodiac, 18 years, I believe it is, for 19 years for the nodes, and then trying to line up the North Node with Taurus with Jupiter. I couldn't go back that far and find it. So this is how rare this dynamic is and how much it offers us opportunity. But that opportunity starts with tense conversations and our ability to stay focused on where we want to be and what we want to experience and how we want to feel in that process is the anchor and the fertilizer and the nutrients for these seeds to grow. Finally, we have Pisces, your third house of home, of siblings, of your everyday experiences. Third house rules our communications, how we speak, how we think, how we interact. And then the third house is naturally ruled by Mercury and Gemini. So I believe that this is an opportunity for you to really expand on what you want to build in your work environment and how I almost feel like with Pisces having Taurus as their third house, this is a way of starting to integrate in a material way your creativity, your imagination, your generosity and compassion. And And at the same time, I almost feel a sense of individuality coming forward. Saturn is in Pisces' first house, asking you to really look at what is sustainable in your life, what you can grow, and what will be feed you and fuel you in the future through that growth. And I believe this is an opportunity for you to take and expand upon your creativity. Again, your imagination, if you're a musician, a dancer, a photographer, a filmographer, anything to do with creating and fostering the imagination. It's very Disney-like to me when I think about the 12th house and Pisces in general. And at the same time, it can be very erosive on its challenging side, because the squares could present things that feel so it can let a little of the air out and make you feel hopeless. But when you are able to sit back a little bit and you see that oftentimes the human can't make a change until they are motivated by disruption. When we are comfortable, we don't shift easily. And the Taurus energy doesn't shift easily. So a certain compassion for yourself as you walk through this tense energy of the end of this week, and then what it has to afford us moving forward. A new moon is a 6-month cycle where we will plant the seeds here in the Taurus energy, and then we will see the illumination of them when we get to the Scorpio energy. So this is very, very exciting. And it will also be the halfway mark between Jupiter's journey through Taurus. So for my Pisces, I really want to offer this as an opportunity for you to look at yourself as a integral and a priority, integral part of a creative situation, a dynamic within your work environment, within your teammates, your workmates, your schoolmates. It's very much a group effort there in the 3rd house. So I think this is really going to be pretty terrific overall. Meaning the idea that the moon cycle has flipped. So we have an illumination, a full moon before we plant our seeds over the next year or so, maybe year and a couple of months. And the idea that Pluto is in its own loving way disrupting things where we are feeling disempowered, and we may ignore or give up our power because we are feeling a sense of material security, but that material security is too high of a price. So, if you're in a situation, let's say you're in a work environment and your boss pays you a great amount of money, and yet you don't get a day off because you're being called at all hours of the day and night, and you're actually feeling very drained, there could be a disruption attached to that changes that dynamic. And your job as the aware person is to see the divinity within that disruption and find your power and your sense of control, meaning over your reaction and over your own emotional body, and then allow it to move forward, allow it to be a defining moment rather than a defeating moment. Okay, that's it for me. I did do readings on Sunday. I did a video, and I covered a little bit of the new moon in that as well. So I want to suggest you look at that video. I made chapters for the signs. So you can just click on that. And again, my name is Teri Hunter. I'm an intuitive astrologer. I am available if you'd like to book a reading with me. I offer both angel readings, which are similar to intuitive readings, as well as astrological readings. And the information is not on my website, so just email me and I will send it to you. My Libra sun likes to connect with everybody and give them a personal experience with me so that we can see if we align and then move forward with the reading. And join me Sundays live, 11 a.m. Pacific time, where again, we do the angel readings and we look at the transits ahead, the week ahead, and we get the angel's advice for walking through that energy. All right, everybody. Please like, please subscribe, please share and comment. I read all your comments and I try to respond, and know that if I just hit a heart, I'm sending you that love, that I'm a little busy and I'm trying to get everything done. All right. Peace out, everybody. See you soon.